let them know that we are the American Indians. Copper color Indians, baby. African Americans here, but they recently moved here from places like Kenya, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Zaire. But now the brother whose family's lived in this country for generations, occupying space in all the locations, New York, Miami, LA, Detroit, Chicago, even if he's wearing a dashiki and sporting an afro. And if you go to Africa in search of your race, you'll find out quick, you're not an African American. You're just a black American in Africa taking up space. Why you keep trying to attach yourself to a continent where even if you got the chance to go and you went, most people that wouldn't even claim you as one of them, as a purebred daughter or son of them.
I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. Thinking about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, quick tail catching up. Born into that trench mind, niggas had no straight mind. Only thing we know is break a bitch and push that bread line. Head be filled with crazy shit like shorty, had my head tied like bitch. So now you ain't coming to me about no bedtime. Ain't no keep it real, I really feel like the pressure is really on me. I know pressure is a bitch, but I don't let feelings control me. I know I've been getting cold and my niggas was flaking on me. So I had to bet some bitches at some parties. But don't blame me for it, don't blame me for it. I'm too cheap for it. Just watch me going, no brakes. Just keep top speed flowing. Bless me, test me, line me up, I know that I'm the next thing. Praying till don't catch me and arrest me. Hope that every night I make it in my best sleep. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. I hope I'm never sitting courtside. Shit happened so quick it felt like there was no time. Body was programmed just to always be on go time. I think the clouds are on free. This ain't shit that all the homies can be. Running from the lies, slip and get up. You ain't about the bullshit, leading right up. Mama told me one day you run out of luck. Now I'm looking up, control catching up. Alright, I ain't resist.
YGF Beats, baby.
Elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know that ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or walk a day in my life. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes really shine for real.
Hey y'all,
stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yeah. Little crazy light, baby, feeling on me lately. Heavy on my mental, so I'm in a booth for wavy. See me, I don't give a fuck, I'm open, I ain't shady. These niggas see it, so they hating. Sipping bottles again, ducking all of the feds. Putting loaves inside the cover, we ain't splitting no bread. Getting all these different fabrics off your neck and your head. Hope that karma ain't gon' get me for what's coming ahead. My baby says she wanna love song. 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 I'ma sing her this love song. Sing her this love song. Yeah, I'm singing to you. Elevate my hustle, gotta get your stress. Cause you the kind of girl I wanna make to my wife. Ain't no point that anyone can make a know that ain't right. They can't tell me how I feel or walk a day in my life. For all the minds I kill, told you many times you really mine for real. Cause something about your eyes always shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. For all the minds kill. Told you many times you really mine for real. Cause some bet your eyes really shine for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal, yes. Something really shine for real. Something really shine for real. Something really shine for real. In your eyes it shine for real. For all the minds I kill. Told you many times we're really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Stick it out with me as you gon' ride. For all the minds I kill. Told you many times you're really minds for real. Stick it out with me as you gon' sign the deal. Baby, is you mine?
Hey everybody, smash that like button. Happy holidays. If I didn't say happy Thanksgiving, hey EJ, happy Thanksgiving. If I didn't say it to you, I had my phone turned off because I was focusing on my little guys and they was a handful. My daughter is the devil. She left me 1 cup of banana pudding and I want to go and get her 1 cup. And I had to add some cookies in there because she murdered the banana pudding. But all the food was so good. I have let me see, I got some turkey left. And Sunday turkey goes into soup with dumplings. And the food was absolutely delicious. I have to say, this Thanksgiving, well, I really like my food every Thanksgiving. Everything was delicious. I made sweet potato pies. And I know that I am Dot Hank's granddaughter because, honey, it tastes just like my granny's. And that's the one thing I did was stayed in the kitchen when my granny cooked massive meals for the damn community. And I got it down packed. I had a good time with my immediate family, my daughter, my grandsons, Big Willie, his son, and it was very relaxing. I sat home. My dinner was done by 11 a.m. By 11 o'clock a.m., we were eating Thanksgiving dinner. All Negroes were removed by 3 o'clock from the house. So I had a really, relaxing day, and I still watch a lot of movies on Netflix the entire day. I watch a lot of, because I'm a martial art. I love martial arts, and I always love Asian culture all my life, even as a kid. I was at the Saturday matinee with my dad because he was a karate expert as well. So I watch all Asian movies, Asian culture movies, karate movies. I swear they look like us. They just light skinned. But I love the Netflix movies that they have on, the karate movies. So I spent the day doing that. And when I get off my live, I'm going to get comfortable and go watch the remaining series. I've been watching them like crazy. Willie don't even sit in there and watch them with me no more because I love Asian culture. I like Asian culture better than my own culture. I'm keeping it a buck. I always loved Oriental Asian culture, period. Chinese, Japanese. I love their culture. I love their clothes. And I like their discipline. Now, I'm not talking about the torturing and communism and all that, because that's something I can't adjust to. I'm used to my freedom. But as far as discipline, I really like their discipline. And I think they're really great people, to be very honest. I don't have the same opinions as everybody else. This is why I have my own channel and I do things the way I do them. And today I'm gonna just read the entire Constitution. 80% of United States citizens have never sat down and literally read the entire Constitution. I'm serious. Even current politicians in office have not sat down with a cup of coffee and tea and read the entire Constitution. And what they do is leave it up to a different lawyers And I'm like, this is really interesting. Hi, Enoch. Hi, Tiffany. And I'm serious. 80% of United States citizens have not read the entire United States Constitution. And me, you know how many times I read it? So many times. I love reading. That's why. Shame on you, congressmen and congresswomen, senators and representatives, local and state, for not reading the entire Constitution. You should make that your New Year's resolution. All of you, representatives, senators, governors, mayors, your butts should take a day and sit back with your coffee, tea, your pipe, peace pipe, or whatever, and read the United States Constitution. You're all guilty. That should be your New Year's resolution. But we're going to go over it today. And hey, most hated Bronx. But before we go over it, there's, a guy who doesn't have ovaries. It's just really funny. Going around, he did a live about me, which is cool because, I find it to be interesting. And my daughter had to teach me this about millennials. She said, Mom, let them say whatever they want about you. It's not true. They're just making you famous and they're jealous. I said, okay, yeah, because I find it strange that every time I go in the chat room and my name is mentioned, and I don't even be in these people's company, okay? But my name is constantly mentioned to be compared, and I don't like it. But if that's what people want to do, more power to you. But I wish they would stop because it doesn't make me happy or feel honorable at all because I really don't care. I do my own thing over here. And I don't care if people don't like it. But what I'm not going to do is respond to it in the manner in which they want me to. They want me to stoop low and be ignorant. But here's what I have to say to a guy who doesn't have the same thing as I have. I have my ovaries, okay? I have my fallopian tubes, okay? I can birth a baby. I did. I pushed out 2 naturally. No C-section. My tubes are not tied. I have untied tubes. I don't care how bad it get. Willie better not get me pregnant. I'm serious. I have a girlfriend who had a baby and she's my age. She just had a baby. Her baby's 1 year old now. Do it to me. See what happened. But these are things that I could do. And I never, ever have to turn my backside to a man because that's kind of poopy to do. Ooh, that's just like, it's just like, it's really weird. So I'm very grateful to have the natural things that I was born with, like I don't have Botox. I don't have to blow up my butt. I don't have to blow up my cheekbones. I don't have to put that stuff in your lips to make you have juicy lips. Mine's are I already have ruby red lips. Okay, I have naturally nice lips. My nose is pretty nice. I used to think I had a big nose, and I'm like, you know what? I guess I don't. My father is deceased, but he left me with my dimples. See, Daddy was gorgeous, and he had that big, thick dimple right here. My dad, okay, he was gorgeous. A big, thick dimple right here, right? And it looked like a butt. I used to tell him that when I was little. My dad had a big, it's deep. It looked like a butt, but that's the trait. But he is so beautiful, my dad. He gave me my dimple. And I had my daughter. And guess what? She got a dimple. So he gave both of us a dimple. Mine is on my left side. Her dimple is on the right side. It's like, and being in my 50s, I know I look good. I know I'm a nice looking woman. I don't look worn out like all I did was drink alcohol and do drugs. I never did that. I don't even drink alcohol. I don't drink milk. I try to drink wine just to fit in, but wine, it's just not me. I drink coffee. Okay. I never did drugs. It's just not in me to do it. I'm too good to do drugs. I'm too good to do drugs. I'm sorry. I'm too uppity to do drugs. I'm too high class to do drugs. Okay. So I never had a problem. Nobody could convince me to do those things in my life. I chose to be a geek and read books. Okay. I chose other things. Does it make me better than anybody? Yeah, it makes me better than a lot of people. It took me a real hard time to say that. It makes me better than a lot of people, but it does. Because, see, people are just outright a hot mess. And I'm not going to respond to them. But all I could say is I have my ovaries and my fallopian tubes intact. I have my physical and I have my clean book of health. Okay. I'm not sick and I'm in good shape. You know, I could do some walking. I do got to do some walking again because I did get lazy and I'm starting my walking during the day. I'm on my lunch breaks because I'm, now back at work. And, I'm fine. But before we go over the Constitution, there are a few things that I want you, and it's 887 people in here, and this applies for anybody across the states. I really want you to understand what jealousy is, and you'll know what it's all about, what jealousy is. A lot of people don't know what jealousy means, and you continue to ask yourself why you don't do evil things to people. Why does this person or these people continue to do this? It's called jealousy. And I want to bring some comfort to you. So let's get into the slides, okay, and talk about it, okay? Because you see this behavior in YouTube. A lot of people don't know how to create content. They're not content creators, and they find ways to create content because they don't have any bright ideas. They do things to create controversy. And then I don't like to do that. And I don't like to chip in because that goes to show you how their channel sucks. So when you have to do things to create content, and instigate, you know what I'm saying? That means you don't have no real content and your channel sucks. And it's based on who's watching you and paying attention. And then there's a lot of jealousy in there. Hey, Othello, Copper Aborigines, I keep it real. EJ again, Enoch. So let's go through jealousy, what it means, so you can understand the behavior. You're going to know the behavior. And you're going to be able to point it out and say, oh, this bee or this guy is just jealous. So all you got to do, now it's going to be instilled in your head what jealousy is. So you'll know what it is and you don't think it's you or that it's something wrong with you. You'll know exactly what it is now, just based on the behavior. Okay. So let's get it. Because today is for you. Today, listen, brother or sister who suffers this. Today, going forward, should be your conceited day. Be conceited, real conceited, for real. Because now you're going to know that you got haters. So the best thing to do is be conceited. Be real conceited now. So jealousy is a feeling of resentment, bitterness, or hostility. Okay. Resentment, bitterness, hostility. You can look those words up too because it extends more into jealousy. So jealousy is a feeling of resentment, bitterness, or hostility that can occur when someone has something you want or has achieved something you want to achieve. It can also refer to feelings of uneasiness or distress in romantic relationships when you feel fear your partner will be unfaithful. That's another part. But I'm talking more specifically in the YouTube and social media world. You see what you see, and you see it on the panels and in the chat. Resentment, bitterness, or hostility of someone, okay, who has something. If you achieve something, someone's mad about it and they want it. That's all it is. Resentment, bitterness, and hostility. Let's go. So these are some known factors, and you see this in YouTube. So when you see it, just don't respond negatively because that brings you down to their level. Don't stoop to it. Don't even respond to it. When that happens, just be conceited. Act like your shit don't stink. Because I know mine don't. I eat vegetables now, though they don't stink. Just be conceited. Because the hate is very real. Known factors of jealousy. Childhood experiences such as the parental relationships. Fear of abandonment. Low self-esteem. Somebody that has low self-esteem, they have to continuously try and create content negatively about you so it could boost them up. And they go the other way too. Even when you're in your work world or anywhere, they have to create things about you because their self-esteem is low. So they have to bring you down so that they can go up. But it's lonely at the top. And if people have to do that to you, it's because it's being done to them. And that's their karma. High neuroticism. Feeling possessive of others. When they feel like they have to control you or control what you do, that's jealousy. That is definitely jealousy. Even when they come in your life and you're not in a relationship with them, they want to control and take over what you've already accomplished. And the way of doing that in YouTube is by saying horrible things about you that they can't substantiate because they need to get you and take over your achievement. And they're angry because they can't, because you don't go down to their level and you don't allow them to. You allow them to, that's your fault. That's feeling possessive of others. They want to possess your achievement. No. Insecurity or poor self-image. These are what you can see in people when they have to bring down one person to make their self look good. They got to build an army and a coalition against you. That's jealousy. Because it's this one person, okay, that won't be in their clique or won't be on the same page of evil. So they got to downgrade you and make you look bad in the eyes of the being superior to them. That's what they do. It's jealousy. But your job is to record track. Because when you record track and then you get it to the that record tracking to the individual you needed to get to so they could look down and see the ugly behavior, that's when karma comes in. Because at the very, 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 very top, if they don't come correct, when they don't come correctly and fix it, the culprit don't fix it, it's cutthroat for them automatically. You don't even have to do nothing. You don't have to do nothing. It's called blowing the whistle. You blow the whistle and then you leave it alone. And when you see the culprit at the top don't take any positive action to rectify and fix the problem, you leave it on their watch. Because karma comes real hard. Karma comes like a wizard. I mean, it comes like a whirlwind. And you don't even have to be the whirlwind. It's going to come. You just sit back and get out the way of the whirlwind and let it whirl. Let's get it. And that's the same thing in YouTube. People who suck at lecturing and people who, don't get the attention of the audience because of failed content that cannot be substantiated. They become envious and jealous. So they have to create content to make one look bad so that it could uplift them. So the whole process is grabbing all the soldiers they can grab. When they need an army after you, that's when you take a bow. When somebody needs an army to come after you, one little old you, that's when you know you a bad bitch. Because they need an army to take you down. And they still don't succeed with that. That's male or female. I don't care what your race. My content is not about race. That's another thing. You can't drag me in your miserable world. Because I don't judge people by their race. I judge them by their individual character of disobedience, hatred, jealousy, racist. Okay? I don't give a damn what your race is. Color don't mean shit to me. What means a lot to me is respect. Respecting me for who I am. Because if you want somebody to respect you, you got to respect them too. But people who build coalitions against you because of bitterness, angerness, hate, jealousy, that comes back on them. I don't care. It's going to come back. You just sit back and watch. Karma is a bitch, and that's a fact. Karma's a bitch. With a capital B. All the letters of B-I-T-C-H is capitalized. See, when the wind come after you, when the soldiers come after you, you just sit back. You ain't got to surrender. Just politely stay quiet. Just politely stay quiet. You ain't got to feed into it. Don't let them tempt you because that's what they're programmed to do. Neuroticism. You need to know what that is. That means we look at words and just because we can pronounce them, that's a great thing. But you always need to understand every word that's given to you when you're reading. Neuroticism is a personality trait that describes a person's emotional stability and tendency to experience negative emotions. People who are neurotic may have difficulty managing their emotions. Think of the YouTube panel behaviors. People who are neurotic may have difficulty managing their emotions, regulating their urges, and dealing with stress. They also may have a tendency to overreact to perceived threats or become overwhelmed by minor problems. You see neuroticism in YouTube. It's in our community. It's in all communities. It's everywhere. Some people, their hate and anger for you because you see it. People can't hold back their hate and anger. I've sat and seen people just turn red and confess right in your face letting you know that they are the primary culprit of everything that's been happening to you. Respectfully, always respectfully accept shit. And then you go and you exercise every right you have in the Constitution. Never deal with anything on the state level when it comes to the court system. Always go federal if you're looking for your constitutional rights. And I'm telling you that for a reason. And you're going to see why in a few minutes when we go over the Constitution. We may not get through that entire sucker today, but we may have a part 2. Now, known factors of neuroticism: excessive worrying, mood swings, emotional outbursts. You see all this on YouTube channel, especially when the presence of someone pops up, the most hated. Perfectionism, avoiding social situations, irritability, low frustration tolerance, being easily hurt or offended, frequent feelings of guilt or shame, being overly critical or cynical. All right. So now we know what jealousy is. And you don't have to respond in YouTube and social media to negative rhetoric. When you respond to negative rhetoric, it brings down the atmosphere that you're trying to create in your YouTube community. That's why I said I want all races of people visiting my channel. I want everybody to feel comfortable. I don't care what your race is. I love when all cultures come in my chat room and communicate, because that's how I am. I'm very diverse. That's why I have a diverse audience. Everybody in here are not brown people. I have a lot of white people. I have a lot of Puerto Rican. I have a lot of Mexican. I have a lot of white people, Asian people are in my chat room. That's how I am. And people in the YouTube community don't like that. They don't like it. They want you, especially in our community, they just want you to be with all brown people that look like you. And I don't like that. That makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's not representative of my family, first of all. And that's a fact. And I don't deal with little punk millennials. And don't come in my chat room asking me about when is such and such coming back, because they're not. Okay? My channel going forward is just going to be me on my panel. Now, you might every so often see Copper Aborigines jump on the panel with me, but I'm done. I want a comfortable and warm atmosphere in my YouTube community. I don't like it. I can't take that erotic hood, wild ghetto behavior. I don't like it. I talk politics. I have a newspaper. And I don't want no idiots on my panel no more. I'm tired. Okay, we getting ready to go into a new year. And I'm going to do what I've been doing all my life, a lot of years of my life, 40 years, politics. And I enjoy doing that. And I'm not going to let no little rugrat come up in here and try to change what I want for my future. Nobody's going to do that. It's not happening. There's a lot that, I disagree with people on. I'm a United States citizen. Okay? I don't have a problem with it. A lot of miserable people do, but that's not my problem. My problems with the Constitution are not the same as yours. Now, excuse me, I don't have a problem with the Constitution at all. What I have a problem with are senators and representatives who don't represent their people right. And this is what my channel is going to be about going into the new year. How we need to have a relationship with our senators, representatives, mayors, governors, no matter who they are or what party they are in. And see, me, I exhaust all my remedies when I want particular politicians to bring something to particular politicians' attention. When I exhaust my remedies at lower levels, I go to the higher level. I don't give a damn. That's my right as a citizen. No governor is immune from hearing from you in writing. And that's a fact. That's what you need to understand. This is why I like politics, because people think that you're not supposed to go to the governor or write to the governor. A lot of times, I'm telling you, and it does, whether it's in the private sector or public sector. And this is, I'm lecturing across the 50 states. Your governor is not immune from hearing from you. A lot of times, the governor wants to hear from constituents. They really do. Okay. Well, you have what you call blockers. Some of it could be their staff that's connected with management. But the thing about it, everything you send to a governor becomes public information. And that's a great thing. It's public information. And when you are harmed such, and you're going to take specific action, you need to let your governor know what you're about to do. Because a lot of times information, and even if it's a director or commissioner or whatever, you need to let them know, because they don't know. And I'm keeping it a buck. A lot of times, I'm not saying all the times, but a lot of times, listen, commissioners, governors, senators don't know what's happening to you. And you have to be very careful, because they collude against you to prove them wrong. But the whole time you're supposed to track, so that what they try and build on you doesn't coincide with the tracking of emails and communication that you've always had. This is why, in my life, personal life, when I'm working, I always blind carbon copy the highest person, because I like the highest person to know what's going down, because oftentimes they're undermined. It really, you should always blind carbon copy the higher person, because oftentimes people, managers, supervisors, directors, they keep information from the higher ups. And it really makes the higher ups look bad when they don't know really what's going on. So if they're carbon copied in particular situations in professional communications, and they don't do anything about it to rectify it or fix it, it is because that's how you learn who the culprit is. But 2-to-1, it's not always the person higher up, because they don't get involved at that level, but they need to know. And if it bothers you, it bothers them. Most people, when they take jobs, they're not there to deceive you and hurt everybody. Most people, when they take jobs, they want to make things better. They do. They really do. They don't come in there to be hired to create chaos. They don't. They really want to make a great impression. And people have hearts. They do have hearts. They do. You might not think so. Governors have hearts. Senators have hearts. Representatives, mayors, anyone in top position, they have hearts. But if they only hear one side, they're blindsided and undermined. And you have to, that's when it's called exhausting. When you exhaust all your remedies and you see that culprits are never going to give you some kind of justice, that's when you go up to the highest level you can. And no one says you can't. Whistleblowing. Anyone retaliated against for whistleblowing, that's a federal crime. Look it up. We're going to learn all this stuff because a lot of us don't know our rights, whether we're in the private sector or public sector. It goes both ways. A lot of the top dogs don't know. But when you hit them onto it, they do look down and say something's not right. Hey, Chief Holiday. They do look down and say something's not right. Something's wrong here. And they do say, I want this shit fixed because I've been seeing what's been going on. But I've only been getting bits and pieces. Now that I have documental proof, something's not right. They'll look down and say, I appointed a simple racist bastard. They will look down. I'm telling you, it works. So that's private sector and public sector. Always blind copy the highest person in a unit. Always, no matter what you do, all your communications, always blind copy the highest person. And any email communication that will save your ass at the end of the day of everything. And when you have 6 years worth of blind carbon copies, you ain't got nothing but the truth, whole truth, so help you God, like they say. All right. So let's get into this Constitution. Okay, I'm going to say this. Hey, Chief. I'm going to say this. And I don't know, Copper, let me know. Chief Copper, let me know if y'all want to come on the panel. I will let y'all two on. If you want to come on the panel before I start the Constitution, because right now I'm just giving my 2 cents on how I feel about the Constitution and government and being under the government. You know, I'm going to give my personal opinion. Hopefully that will move people away from me. Okay. First, I want to say this. I believe Moors still exist, but I just believe the white ones are in power. And I believe that we do have black Moors. Okay. But I don't affiliate with black Moors. I don't like their theories and the way they operate. I just do not like that group, affiliating myself with that group, the black Moors. I like the white Moors better. And I'm keeping it a buck. I like the white Moors better. What you call them Sephardic Jews and all this others, I like them better. I do. I don't have a problem with them. I don't. I don't have a problem with people that are in office. If there are representatives, there are representatives. And guess what? If I got a white senator and a white representative and, you know, I'm in the hood, that's my senator, that's my representative. Sorry, the black guy didn't win. Guess what? Because his ass didn't run for office. So guess what? We got a white one. And it is what it is. Other people want to form their own government. Now, I'm going to tell you something about that. Good luck doing that because the South already tried. And that's what got the Revolutionary War going. Okay? Now, sovereign government is like Indian tribes. It's different. But If you calling yourself trying to make a government in the United States, they're going to go to war with you and you're going to die because the United States is a very powerful country. It is. They have weapons of mass destruction. United States is capable of blowing up whole cities. Good luck creating a government. In the perimeters of the United States, like what these goofy black Moors are trying to teach you to do. Good luck. They're not sovereign. They're not sovereign citizens. There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. States are sovereign. Okay? Indian federally recognized tribes are sovereign. Okay? So the group of people that's trying to, when people say, oh, we need to create our own government, I'm not with you. I'm okay with the current government. We just gotta work with our senators. Otherwise, you just suffer the consequences when you don't form relationships with your senators and representatives. And when you try to work with them, and your senators and representatives you don't feel like they're representing you right, then you don't vote for them the next time. You try to vote to get the person in there who you think is going to represent. And that's what all state citizens do. They vote for people that they think that will really positively impact their communities by way of representation. So I might not be the one that you want to hang with in YouTube, because I don't have a problem with the United States government. I don't. I really like it the way it is. I'm sorry that a lot of people that looks like me are not in office that are actually me. Okay. But that comes from lack of community involvement and participating and putting someone in office. And when you have not worked in the system or tried to be an active part of it, you don't have a right to complain, even as a citizen. You don't. Because number one, you didn't read the entire Constitution. You don't even know your rights. Some of you violated rights from past lives. I get that. But that's not my fault. I'm not going to be dragged down in a miserable world because you are. I decided not to break laws because I was always scary. IRS is a very powerful agency, government agency. And I don't want to break their laws. I'm very afraid. And I just don't. Some people are just evil, teaching the more sovereign movement stuff to our people. But you know what? The IRS now has the power to destroy your life. They're coming for you, Moors, because they're sick of you coming in courts. You're wasting court's time. You're undermining judges and you're wasting taxpayers' dollars. So now it's got to the level that it's so high that the IRS now has power to take all of you down. And the fun part is I get to watch it because I know the crookedness. People create corporations in an effort to evade taxes. And that's bad. To me, I don't have a problem paying taxes. I don't. Now, if I have a right as an Indian to be excluded, and we're going to talk about that because that's so deep. That's so deep. And it's so important. And that's a fact. Hey, Smoke, St. Louis, we're going to talk about that. So, without further ado, let's begin reading the Constitution and understanding it. Because when you hear certain verbiage and words, you got to ask yourself something. There's something, it's something. So many things come to my head. And I'm going I'm going to have things, I'm going to share with you the different things that come to my head. So let's get it, y'all. Doesn't seem like Chief or Copper want to come up. So that's cool. I'm going to move along. So this is right in United States Congress. And it's broken down. I like the way it's broken down. I'm going to put this in the chat room. Copy. Because what I like about this, you can read preamble explained. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Because I think this is like the best breakdown of it. So the United States Constitution, there are old ones. You know, I'm doing the current one. I ain't got time for all that 1800 crap earlier. The first, I don't got time for that. Take that to somebody else's damn channel. But right now, all 900 and something of us, thousands of us, we're going to read the Constitution and we're going to finish this baby. Maybe we might have to do it in 2 YouTube segments. But preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So now I want to see the last Constitution. Constitution. All right. The Constitution was, this one was signed 1787, not amended recently. The United States Constitution was written and signed in 1787. The Constitution was written during the summer of 1787 by delegates to the Constitutional Convention. The convention took place in Philadelphia's Independence Hall from May 25th to September 17. All right. Now, if there, it was then ratified on June 21st, 1788. The first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, were ratified on December 15th, 1791. All right. So this Constitution right here dates back to the 1791, and we have all the amendments that we're going to go through. They have articles, and here we go. So this is the one I'm reading. I'm not going through all that old stuff because this is the one they're going by. I don't care what other people's rhetoric is. Oh, there was one written back then, and then they was supposed to write. You know what? They're going by this one. If you got a problem with them going by this one, go to the United States Congress and tell them that they're reading and going off the wrong one. Because right now, I'm reading this one. You got these clowns in YouTube, man. I just can't deal with. So, Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. All right. So we have a Senate and we have a House of Representatives, which makes up Congress. And this is at the federal level. This is not the state level we're talking about, the federal level, where all our federal laws are written. The power is always in Congress by 2/3 vote. So, Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualification requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. Now, no person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years. You got to be 25 years old and been 7 years a citizen of the United States. So you got to run for representative. You have to be 25 years old and you have to have been a citizen for 7 years. And who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen. Simple, clear. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed. 3/5 of all other persons. Now, I hope you know what excluding means. If you don't, excluding means not taking someone or something into account apart from, okay, to prevent or restrict the entry or admission of. I hope that's clear. Anybody get stupid in the chat? Use your wrenches. Now, we're going to come back to that because that's going to take up a whole subject. Because now you got to understand when you're seeing excluding Indians not taxed, let me tell you something. There's a reason why Indians not taxed is there. You are not supposed to enumerate Indians. You're not supposed to. It would not be there. And the only way that you can challenge that is when you go to federal court. Because that's what I'm telling you, don't even bother playing with the states. That is not a law that is hereby delegated to the 50 states. That is in the Constitution. You are supposed to exclude the Indians. You are not supposed to tax them. But we're going to come back to that later, way later. Let's get it. Let's keep going. The actual enumeration. And just keep this question in mind. In section 2, article 1, section 2, why is excluding Indians not taxed? In here. Now, you know what? I can't. All right. We're in the area of where it says representatives and direct taxes. Representatives. We're talking about Congress. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, comma, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. Now, I can't even keep going, y'all. I know I said I would talk about this later, but here, when we're talking about Congress's actions and excluding Indians not taxed. Now, I have a question to the audience here. Let me ask y'all this question, and you think about this. If the Indians are excluded, not taxed, does that mean that the representative don't represent them? If Indians, excluding Indians not taxed, does that mean that the representative don't represent the Indian? Keep that question in mind. You have to exclude the Indians because they're not taxed. Does that mean that the representative do not represent the Indian not taxed? So the reason why I asked this question, does that mean that the representative do not represent the Indian that's not taxed? And if the Indian is not being taxed, hold up, y'all. Hold up for 1 second. If the Indian is excluded from tax, I'm just asking. We are going over the Constitution, and I'm asking questions because I have a right. I want to know. I'm being conceited. If the Indians are not taxed, right? Could this be the reason why they're sending money over to other countries to, fund wars and take care of refugees and, using tax dollars? Because the Indians not taxed and they ain't supposed to open their damn mouth because it ain't their money. The Indians are not paying tax dollars, so they can't complain because money's being sent over to other countries and money's being given to immigrants. Are the Indians supposed to keep their mouth closed? Because the senator could turn around and say, excuse me, you're not paying taxes. So don't worry about where we're spending our tax dollars because you're excluded from being taxed. So shut your mouth up because you're excluded from taxes. So these ain't your tax dollars, Indian lady. Is that possible? So what they're on our land? If you're not being taxed as an Indian, you don't have no say so where they spend the money. I mean, I'm asking, am I right on that one? If you're not, if taxes aren't being taken from you, if taxes are not being taken from you, do you have a right to open your mouth and say, excuse me, you're not paying no taxes? So if I give an immigrant an EBT card, that ain't none of your business. We're not taking federal dollars from you. Is that possible? Was there a secret agreement that you would have a false identity? And excuse me, you're in here under a false identity agree way back when that you're going to be this and you're Indian. So if so what we taking your tax dollars? You're Indian at the end of the day. Who put you under a false identity? Was it a local state government? What I mean, what happened? These are questions that I have. I just want to know. See, we reading this. I'm like, wait a minute. Could it be that the reason why people don't pay you no mind that are in politicians is because you're an Indian and you're not taxed? So what? You an Indian, you're not taxed. It ain't my problem if you're getting enumerated. You better fix it yourself. But but I mean, there was a law passed. There was a law passed that Indians could be citizens. But were they are these the same Indians from back in the 1700s, or are they talking about the Native Americans? See, it's so many questions and I don't know. I'm being conceited, y'all. I don't know. Because I mean, in so many words, our representatives basically saying the reason why you don't really see them in our community, they're like, you better go talk to your peeps about who you are. Ain't no Indians paying taxes. It's a secret. Was it a secret agreement that you come in to the United States under a fake identity? Or, I mean, or you were told that you were automatically citizens way back in 1830. If you didn't go to Oklahoma, don't forget about that now. That was a law. If you didn't go to Oklahoma and you remained on the land, you remained in your area that you were in, and it became a state, you automatically became a citizen if your butt didn't go. So there's questions that have to be asked and answered. You got to figure it out. But the way you're going to get to the bottom of it is it needs to be discussed. The 9 Supreme Court justices have to interpret that for you, individual Indians. Not your next door neighbor, not a Moor, because Moor is not even mentioned nowhere in the Constitution. Not the United States Constitution from the 1700s. So, in order to get it interpreted correctly, you have to go at the federal level to get it interpreted, because there's a reason why that you're black on the reconstructed census sheets. There's a reason for that. There's no race that's black. There's a problem with your identity within the United States. There's a problem with your identity. There really is. Number one, the United States is not going to dare prove to you or tell you, oh, you came from Africa, because they would have wrote that. Your ancestors, they would have wrote that, especially when you went in the service. They're not going to dare. It's your job. Somebody did something back then to you. So you got to understand this. There's a certain group of people that's not Africans or African Americans. See, when you see people like Obama, you really stand out. When you see people in power like Obama being president and Kamala Harris being vice president, your true race is revealed, because you don't have the same genealogical background as them. There's something very different about you. That's why I said, in order to understand who you are, you have to learn who everybody else is. Then you become to knowing who you are. Because see, I mean, really, your senator could say, you need to talk to your peeps. I mean, are the senators supposed to represent us? Look, I'm just asking questions. All I'm doing is asking rightful questions. Smash the like button, y'all. But we're going to come back to that way later. Let's keep going, because we're going to get through this Constitution. Because shame on you if you didn't read it. Let's get it, y'all. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. It's the share screen. Let's get it, y'all. So we got to Indian not taxed. I mean, you got to ask yourself, why would they put that in the section where representatives are? Representatives, look at where it's at in Article 2. Representatives in direct taxes shall be apportioned among. So the representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years. and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall be law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000. But each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to just 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. But wait a minute, y'all. Those are the 13 colonies. Hold up. Hey, y'all. I just, ain't there 50 states? There's 50 states. I'm just gonna let that set right here, cause it's 50 states. I'm gonna let that sit there so you can read this particular area. Right here. I'm gonna let that sit there. I'm gonna give you some music. Read it. I thought it was 50 states, but I just read it for a minute. All right, y'all. I gave y'all enough time. This is getting really funky, right? Right? Getting really funky. Where's the other 50 states to this Constitution? Where's the other states? I mean, we had the ratifications. Okay, hold up. We're going to go there. Now, this is 1787. As of 1787, right? Now, here we go. This is 1787. Okay. This Constitution was signed on September 17th, 1787. And then there was a most recent amendment was adopted. The most recent amendment to the Constitution was the 27th Amendment, which was submitted to the states for ratification. All right. The Constitution was ratified on June 21st, 1788, with the first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, were ratified on 1791. Now, so now what happened is, okay, here we go, y'all. We got to stop and look at this. That Constitution was signed on September 17th, 1787. Ratified. All right. Now, y'all looking at this? Those were the colonial states. They have an admission clause. All right. So let's go back to our document. Can y'all see this? How did the other states get up in there? Yep, 13 plant. That was in 1787. So there was a clause, something took place. So for, let's just keep going. All right. Now, there's other clauses that took place where it's called the admission clause, and we're going to get to it. How the other states got in there. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Okay. Section 3. Now we're in section 3 of Article 1. We're only in the first article. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislator thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year, of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the third class at the expiration of 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. So, like, if the House and the Senate is divided on a vote, if it's equal, like 50 to 50, the vice president gets to break the tie. That's the only time they can vote during legislative session. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. Here we go. Section 4. We're still in Article 1. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislator thereof. But the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. So they're going to meet Monday. That's the first Monday, which is the second. Number 5, Section 5, Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. And no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it with his objections to that house in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered. And if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the president within 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law in like manner as if he signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. So y'all get that. If the president don't sign it within 10 days, it automatically becomes law. But if the day that he's supposed to return it and Congress is adjourned, they're not there to receive it, so it don't become law. Only if they adjourn the meeting before it's returned to Congress, it don't become law automatically. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the state and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Interesting. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. All right. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. To coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign corn, and fix the standard of weights and measures. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. To establish post offices and post roads. To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. To define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations. To declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. To raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years. To provide and maintain a navy. To make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Yo. To provide for calling forth the military to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. to provide for organizing army and disciplining the military, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of officers and the authority of training the military according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislator of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. The migration, listen, y'all, Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit, shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. Yo. I'm going to read it again. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit, shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may acquire it. Excuse me. The privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Do y'all know what habeas corpus is? A writ of habeas corpus is a court order that requires a person's custodian to bring the individual to court to determine if their detention is lawful. It's a fundamental right in the United States Constitution that protects against unlawful imprisonment. The term comes from Latin and translates to show me the body. A writ of habeas corpus can be used to challenge a criminal conviction, question the conditions of confinement, examine the legality of extradition process, question the amount of bail, and question the jurisdiction of the court. So, when it comes to immigration, illegal immigrants, well, I'm gonna keep reading, y'all. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless the proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another. Nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. I wonder if this means it's illegal to have pay tolls. I'm just asking. I got a right to ask questions. No money shall be drawn from the treasury in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender and payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, of course, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So I'm okay. So if if a state is invaded by illegal immigrants, they could send their troops out and go to their butts. All right. There it is. I guess I'm going to block you. You in timeout. There you go. Now, Article 2, finally. The executive power, Section 1, shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the vice president chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislator thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the president of the Senate. The president of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. Wow. And if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member of members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. No person except a natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. In the case of removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president. And the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I believe Trump when he say he will defend the Constitution, because we have been invaded by illegal immigrants. And I think that Kamala and President Biden should be arrested because they didn't defend us according to the Constitution. They allow illegal immigrants to come in here and they terrorized us. But that's another story. Section 2. The president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the military of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provide 2/3 of the senators present concur, and he shall nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may, by law, vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The president shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. Section 3. He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration much measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the law be faithfully executed and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Section 4. The president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 3. Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in this one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same states claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions, and under the regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Section 3. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainer of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. Article 4. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, or proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. No person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up and on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. Let Section 3. New states, yo, new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislators of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. There's your permission, but there's a way that what you there's, if you're going to create a state, you could be admitted, but you got to follow this this law right here. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular state. Yo. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republic form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislator or of the executive, when the legislator cannot convene, against domestic violence. So, interesting. Article 5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on the application of the legislator of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses and the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the state. Here we go. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. The Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made, under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. But oh, okay. But hold up. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several states legislators, okay, and all executive and judicial officers, both in the United States and of the several states. But hold up, I thought the United States was the several states. Both of the United States and of the several states. What's the several states? The United States, I thought it was the 50 states. So now you're telling me that the United States are only the colonial states and all the other states are the several states? Because Article 7. The ratification of the conventions in 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states, so ratifying the same. All right. These are the ratifications. Here are the amendments. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Hello. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So that means when people are out of jail, they should be able to bear arms. All they got to do is go to federal court. You can't infringe. You can't. Third Amendment. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house. without the consent of the owner or in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Fifth Amendment, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of his life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So when they burned us out our homes, the Indians, when the Indians were burned out of their homes, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of his life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Did your ancestors have due process of law when they took your farms? Were you forced under a false identity? Sixth Amendment. I'm just asking questions. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Seventh Amendment. In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of the trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. Eighth Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Ninth Amendment. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. 11th Amendment. The judicial power of the United States shall not be construed to extend to any suit in law or equity, commenced or prosecuted against one of the United States by citizens of another state, or by citizens or subjects of any foreign state. Twelfth Amendment. Jeez. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted as for president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president, and of all persons voted for as vice president, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the president of the Senate. The president of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers, not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the state, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose the presidents whenever, the right of choice shall be devolved upon them before the 4th day of March next following. Then the vice president shall act as president, as in case of death or other constitutional disability of the president. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president, if such number of the majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if no person have a majority, then from the 2 highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the vice president. A quorum for the purpose shall consist 2/3 of the whole number of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States. The 13th Amendment, Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So neither slavery. So if you're punished for crime, then there's slavery. That's what being in prison is. You're a slave. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 14th Amendment. Here we go. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Same thing in 1830. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Section 2. So, all in the 14th Amendment. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for vice president and for president and vice president of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state being 21 years of age and citizens of the United States, or in any way abridged except for participation in rebellion or other crime. The basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such male citizens shall bear the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Question: if someone breaks the law and they're an illegal alien, if someone breaks the law, are they your enemy? If people from another country break the law here, are they an enemy to the United States? That's what I thought. Section 4. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including the debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss of emancipation of any slave. But all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. Section 5. The Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. 15th Amendment, Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So you can't deny prisoners right to vote. As soon as they're free, they have their voting rights. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 16th Amendment, Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. 17th Amendment, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Yo, the electors, wait a minute. If that's the case, how come there's been senators in there for 20 and 30 years? When vacancies happen in the representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of such state shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies, provided that the legislature of any state may empower the executive thereof to make temporary appointments until people fill vacancies by the election as the legislator may direct. This is why the senator and congressman be sitting on the damn Congress for 20 and 30 years, because every time they get elected, they hold a spot for 6 damn years. And it's like there's no restriction on how many times they can run. '18th Amendment. After 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within, the importation thereof into, or the exportation thereof from the United States and all territories subject to the jurisdiction thereof for beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. Congress and the several states shall have concurrent power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislators of the several states. Okay. As provided in the Constitution within 7 years from the date of the submission hereof to the states by the Congress. 19th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or obliged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 20th Amendment, Section 1. The terms of the president and vice president shall end on noon of the 20th day of January, and the terms of the senators and representatives at noon on the third day of January of the years in which such terms would have ended if this article had not been ratified, and the terms of their successors shall begin. Section 2. So, wow. Trump started his new job on the 20th of January. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meetings shall begin at noon on the third day of January, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. So Congress got to get their butts back in office on the third day of January. Section 3. If at the time fixed or the beginning of the term of the president-elect shall have died, the vice president-elect shall become president. If a president shall not have been chosen before the time fixed for the beginning of his term, or if the president-elect shall have failed to qualify, then the vice president-elect shall act as president until a president shall have qualified. And the Congress may by law provide for the case wherein neither a president-elect nor a vice president-elect shall have qualified, declaring who shall then act as president, or the manner in which one who is to act shall be selected, and such person shall act accordingly until a president or vice president shall have qualified. Section 4. The Congress may by law provide for the case of the death of any of the persons from whom the House of Representatives may choose a president whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them, and for the case of the death of any of the persons from whom the Senate may choose a vice president whenever the right of choice shall have devolved upon them. Section 5. Sections 1 and 2 shall take effect on the 15th day of October following the ratification of this article. Section 6. This article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified. An amendment to the Constitution by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of this submission. 21st Amendment. We almost there, y'all. I thought we was going to have to go in 2 days. The 18th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. What? So the 18th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Wait a minute. So let's go back. What was 18? After 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation intoxicating. Oh, it's repealed. Okay, I get it. So the 18th article of amendment in the Constitution is repealed. Section 2, the transportation or importation into any state, territory, or possession of the United States for delivery or use therein of intoxicating liquors in violation of the laws thereof is hereby prohibited. Section 3, this article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by conventions in the several states as provided in the Constitution within 7 years from the date of the submission hereof to the states by Congress. Wow, I never thought this many people would be interested in the Constitution. It's interesting, huh? Boing. Now, '22nd, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of president more than once. But this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by the Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting as president during the term within which the article becomes operative from holding the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. Section 2, this article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as an amendment to the Constitution by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states within 7 years from the date of its submission to the states by Congress. 23rd, the district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner as the Congress may direct a number of electors of president and vice president equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled if it were a state, but in no event more than the least populous state. They shall be in addition to the appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purposes of the election of president and vice president. President to be electors appointed by a state, and they shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th article of amendment. Section 2. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 24th Amendment. Section 1. The right of citizens of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for president or vice president, for electors for president or vice president, or for senator or representative in Congress shall not be denied or obliged by the United States or any state by reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 25th Amendment. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Whenever there is a vacancy in office of the vice president, the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority of vote, both House and Congress. Section 3. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. Section 4. Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may, by law, provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration to that president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Thereafter, when the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body as Congress may by law provide transmit within 4 days to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Thereupon, Congress shall decide the issue, assembling within 48 hours for the purpose, if not in session. If the Congress, within 21 days after receipt of the latter written declaration, or if Congress is not in session within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble, determines by 2/3 vote of both House, and that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall continue to discharge the same as acting President. Otherwise, the President shall resume the powers and duties. The 26th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or obliged by the United States or by any state on account of age. All right. So there's the amendment. It went from 21 to 18. Section 2. Well, that was males because women weren't able to vote at that time. Section 2. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. 27th Amendment, which is the last. No law varying the compensation for the services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives shall have intervened. And that, my friends, is the entire Constitution. So now, all 1,048 of y'all in here, you now can honestly say that you sat and listened to the entire United States Constitution, which took every bit of almost 2.5, almost 3 hours to read, because I came on live at 4, 5, 6, almost 7 o'clock, almost 3 hours now I've been on. So now, there's a lot to be discussed. So I want to look up oh God. Oh, now, the phrase Indian not tax refers to Native American. There were no Native Americans who were not subject to the taxation because of treaties or laws that govern their relationship with the national government. They were not United States citizens. They lived within their tribal territories. They were governed by their own laws. They were subject to the jurisdiction of their tribe. They held tribal allegiance. The phrase Indian not tax was included in the 14th Amendment to protect tribal sovereignty. The drafters of the amendment could have excluded all non-citizens, but instead they chose to exclude only this small category. In 1924, Congress passed the Indian Citizenship Act, which granted citizenship to all American Indians. This made it no longer necessary to exclude Indian not tax from the apportionment count. And there, wowsy, wowsy, wowsy. So when the Indians became citizens, they were no longer immune from taxes. But I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Because you can't read what other people say. You have to look at the law. Facts. Because when you're reading something, all right, let me show you. For an example, when you're reading this, the phrase Indian tax refers to Native Americans who were not subject to taxation because of the treaties of laws that govern their relationship with the national government. Okay, first of all, that's not what it says in the Constitution. That's why it's important. When you're reading this right here, none of that is written in the Constitution. None of what this is saying is written in the Constitution. None of it. None of that is written in the Constitution. All the Constitution says is Indian not taxed. So when you goofies read that, you're reading somebody else's thought process. All the Constitution says is Indian not taxed. Indian, look, all that what I just wrote, what I just shared with you is not written in the Constitution. Individual people are not the interpreters of the United States Constitution. They have 9 Supreme Court justices. They're the ones that have to interpret it. That's why they're there. So when I just shared with you, that was not written by, or there's no signature from any of the 9 Supreme Court justices. You must challenge the law yourself at the federal level, not at the state. Go no state. Go to the federal. State courts, they're all in cahoots. State court, state agency. Exhaust your remedies and go straight for federal, please. Please. They're all in cahoots. No one looks down. Really, some of them do. Terrible. But anyway, I'm gonna put the link in the chat because now the panel is open. Anybody wants something to say? You can now come and express. Let me put the link in the chat. Boing, boing, boing. I'm going to put that in the chat. And I'm going to give you time to come up because I done read the whole entire Constitution. And tomorrow I'll be back with the smoke. I'm going to wait and see if anyone comes up. And if not, I'm out of this piece. Because I love y'all to the moon and back. So now you can say you read and listen to the Constitution. So I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to get on up here. For real, for real. All right, y'all. The panel's open.